And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Folks, when I was at Essen this year, I was walking along the aisles and I came across this game called Balanced Duels. And I saw all these people playing what looked like an abstract strategy game, but there was this balance, keeping the things balanced. And I thought, well, that's kind of a unique thing. It just really kind of drew me in. So I went over and checked it out, and now I'm going to show it to you. The goal of this game is to get all of your pieces into your opponent's end zone or to make your opponent touch. And it has to be touching where it stays down there at the end of a round. If when I'm putting a piece in, like if I put that piece in, it will touch as it goes down, but it actually doesn't stay down. So the first thing that you will do on your turn is you roll a die, and that will tell you what position to put your pawn in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this says 3. So I put my pawn in either this spot or this spot. Then my opponent will do the same thing. They say 4. So for them, 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is over here. And now you can see a balance has occurred. From now on, when I roll the die, I can either put a pawn in that number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can go here, and again, you can't do it if the spots are full. Or, maybe on the black turn, he rolls a 2, and instead of putting one out in the 2 spot, he decides to move this one too, so 1, 2. Whew! Came really close to making the balance, but see, he put the pressure on red now, because red needs to move a piece out of here, or because adding another piece there will make them automatically lose. However, a player always has the option of passing. You can pass and say, I'm not doing anything this turn. However, if you pass, the next turn you must play. You can never pass 2 times in a row. So let's say red passes, black rolls and gets a 2, so they drop another piece in over here because they don't want to be the ones to make it. And now it's much more balanced. And this will go back and forth. If you land your piece on an opposing piece in the enemy territory, let's say black comes over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lands here, then that piece is basically killed and sent back to the opponent. And that's basically the game. The game, if you want to look at it mechanically wise, sits here like this. These 2 pieces here come apart, so it's easy to get it in and out, and actually they're stored in the box. You have different colors. You have blue and yellow, also besides the red and black pieces. And you also have these medium pieces. They're smaller than the large pieces. And there's also other ways. There's 2 hooks here to balance the thing on it. You can start with pieces out there, but essentially you're just rolling a die and you're playing kind of a form of maybe backgammon or something, where you're just trying to get all your pieces from here all the way around and get those pieces in, and the first person to do that wins, or to make your opponent make it go down balance-wise. So many times you'll be playing the game and you'll be sitting there and there'll be a certain number of pieces on different sides, and you got to figure out what change will make it hit the bottom. You got to be careful not to do that. That's how you play. Balanced Duels has the feel of a classic game. It just looks classy. I don't know how else to describe it. It has the idea. I think that this is the kind of game that someone who plays checkers or plays backgammon or mancala or something like that, they're going to like this because it's a similar thing. And there's luck in it, right? There's rolling the die, and that's where you put the piece and moving things. But as I played the game, I really felt this sort of thoughtfulness in it. Okay, I roll and I get a 2. So do I want to add another piece, or do I want to put 2? Because I'm thinking not only of where I am and how that's going to affect the balancing, but how am I going to affect my opponent? How am I going to do it to his turn? And of course, your opponent can pass, and passing saves your life so many times in this game, but you can only pass once. Well, you can pass like every other turn, I suppose, but you have to pass, and the next turn you have to play. And there's going to be those moments where you need to roll a certain number to win and you don't. And I understand that may be too lucky for some people, but I felt this to be a light game that had a great deal of thought that you could put into it also. And there's different variants and all, like I said, with the different pawns, but I really like the basic one. It's really simple. Get your pieces around. It's not that complicated, but you have to do it without making it touch. And as you pull a piece out, it hits down and touches, and then you put the piece back in and it comes back up a little, and you're like, oh. But that moment where it touches, and I'd say half the games I played, it touching took someone out, and the other half it was the pieces getting them around onto the other side of the thing. And you can try to block people. You can put 2 pawns in one spot, and so that if they need to land that spot, they can't play that piece. And so there's certain numbers you cancel out. But I think this might appeal to a lot of folks, grandma and grandpa, who want to sit and play some sort of new strategy game. They can understand this, and they'll see the balancing, and it's interesting. And it's not a dexterity game, right? It's not a game where you're like, oh, and your shaky hands will affect it. No, because it touching it doesn't matter until the move is finished. You can pull the piece out, put it in here, and then let everything go and then see what happens. And I like that. There's a balance factor, but it doesn't matter what I do. I can't mess it up. So this is no heavy game by any stretch of the imagination. There's light strategy, but I found that it was better and more involved than I thought. And again, like I said, this is one of those games you can put on your dining room table. It's a good conversation piece, and you can play it fairly quickly. That's Balance Duels. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut that door!